Hi, my name is Katya, and today I'm going to be speaking all about my Mercury in Pisces. Um, let me just get straight into it. Um, so, the universe gifted me slash cursed me with having a Mercury in Pisces. So, if you don't know what that is, it's Mercury is the planet that's in charge of your communications. And Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. So if you think of child development, it's that sign that's right in the end, like that determines adulthood. And usually, when you get to that stage in Pisces, it's hard to communicate. Like, I find that it's very hard for me when I communicate to the anything inanimate, like the camera right now. It's hard for me to express myself in that sort of a way. And it also goes hand in hand with the way I was raised. So that's why I attribute a lot astrology into like actually fortune telling in a way, because I find it crazy that the stars predicted kind of like my whole childhood, my whole way that I was raised. Like, my moon is in Capricorn, so you can see there that my parents really limited me and didn't let me express myself as a child. And as an Aquarius, that's one of the biggest things that we need, is we need to figure out what we're good at and what we love. And being raised in a Hispanic family, it's hard because they have these standards of what they want you to be. And it's difficult trying to merge in my creative slash like crazy side into what my parents want me to be. My parents want me to be in college, they want me to graduate and have a degree, all of this stuff. So I'm here because of that. And it's hard now to express myself and to express my feelings to my family. And that also goes hand in hand with my Mercury in Pisces. And that's why I think it's bizarre, because the stars somehow predicted that it was going to be hard for me to communicate, and it's very hard for me to communicate. I find it, like, a lot of times I find that it's hard for me to find the right words to say. And usually when I'm in a comfortable scenario, in a situation, I'm very open. Like, I can have a good conversation, but a lot of times I find my mind kind of like in a jumble, trying to figure out what words to say. And in a lot of my in the other two videos that I have posted, you can kind of see that too. It all goes hand in hand. Like, I'll say like a lot, I'll say I don't know a lot, I'll say like when I'm trying to figure out a word, I'll go like those kinds of like fillers that when you're trying to figure out words. So I find myself doing that a lot. And I mean, yeah, I've been touching on like the bad stuff about the sign. And as much as I think it's sort of a curse that it's hard for me to communicate and it's hard for me to kind of say what I mean on like that's in my mind. And as much as it sucks, it's also a blessing. And I find it so great because Pisces is one of the I would say psychic signs. Like, that's the sign that you attribute psychic abilities to, is Pisces. And if you think of the way communication is, it's the way you verbally speak. It's the way that's Mercury right there. And when it's in Pisces, it's almost like when you speak, the person that's listening doesn't really comprehend what you're trying to say. And it takes a while for them to kind of click on what you're saying, like, oh, okay, like, yeah, okay, yeah. Like, I've noticed that people, when I say something, people will be like, what? And I'll, like, rephrase it, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, I get it now. Okay, like, oh, like, that's what you mean, okay. Like, that'll happen a lot, too. But something else that I would like to attribute to my Mercury in Pisces is the fact that I'm very psychic. And I feel like whenever I speak, because I'm the type of person that I like to think of everything that I want to say before I say it. I won't just like spit out words and not care what I'm saying. Like, I'm very thought out. And a lot of times when that happens in my mind, a lot of these words come up, and I choose the right words. And when I speak, people really don't get it. And when another person's Mercury is in Pisces, they get it instantly. They're like, oh yeah. And a lot of times I attribute that to being psychic as well, because every time that I think about words before I say them, I know that I'm speaking out of, like I always like to say, out of the knowing, out of my guides communicating with me and telling me the words to say out loud. A lot of times it is my words that I speak, but more often than not, whenever I think about what I say before, it's always 100% what my guides want me to say or what my guides want me to portray. So I really love that about my Mercury in Pisces. I know I get that instant, and whenever I speak to people, everyone always says, like, and when it comes to advice, I would say, when I'm giving advice to someone, everyone's always like, wow, like, that's so, like, well thought out. Like, that, I've never seen that perspective before. And that also goes hand in hand with my Aquarius as well, because my mind is very complex. And usually when I say things, it's so profound that the other person usually goes like, wow, I've never thought of it that way. Like, And a lot of times they will take account into what I say. So I'm really blessed to have Aquarius and Mercury in Pisces, because my mind is just always, like, it's always enlightened. And I find myself, let me go get it. So I find myself keeping a journal. And what I like to do is around full moons, I will write down thoughts that go through my mind, because as we know, yesterday, March 31st, now it's Easter today, was a full moon, and I like to sit and I like to write down all of the thoughts that go through my mind. And I also have manifestations where on a full moon I'll sit and I will manifest what I want in my life in the upcoming months, and more often than not I find it very calming, because my mind is always jumbled and my mind is always going through things, and it's hard for me to communicate what my mind is thinking, because it's so much stuff always going on in my head, and it's hard for me to pick the right words because all these words are always coming up in my head, and I'm like, like, what do I say? Like, but usually when I calm down and I'm comfortable, then the words just flow out. But one of the hardest things that I've challenged with having a Mercury in Pisces is giving, like, presentations for class. Like, oh my gosh, that's the worst. Like, if I'm not prepared for giving a presentation and I just, like, go up, I can never be that person that just wings it. I have to be prepared and know exactly what I'm going to say, or else I will look like an idiot. And I it's so hard for me to put those words together, whereas a Mercury in Aries, they would be like all over. They'd be like, this is it, boom, 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 and they get their point across, because an Aries man is like a gift. An Aries, not specifically an Aries man, just an Aries, the way that they communicate, they're gifted in the way that they speak, honestly. And I really value people that help get my confidence side out. So I have more friends now that help me be more comfortable in communication, because before I would only have, like, my boyfriend that I would talk to, like, regularly, and it was hard for me to get comfortable with, like, other people that I didn't know. And now that I'm starting to get more comfortable, starting to communicate more with people, not be scared, it's helping my Mercury in Pisces a lot. So if you're watching that has a Mercury in Pisces, I would suggest hanging out with more people that give you a wider array of perspectives, honestly, because it makes you more comfortable to speaking. And a lot of times when you speak, you think of everything before you say it. So I know for sure if you're a Mercury in Pisces, then that's the number one thing that you probably, like, do, is you always think about everything before you say it, because you don't want to be that stupid person that doesn't know what to say. Because I'm that person that's so self-conscious of what I say, because I know that I don't sound smart when I speak sometimes. Even though I know I'm very smart, it's hard for me to portray that sometimes. One of the things that came up was a person was telling me, it was a hate message, honestly. They were telling me that I sounded very uneducated when I spoke. And I mean, I don't take that for heart, because I know for a fact that's true. It comes across as uneducated just because some people don't know how to pick up the information that I'm speaking out. And a lot of times my words come out jumbled when I'm not comfortable. And so, I mean, I feel comfortable like now when I speak, but I don't know, you can still kind of tell that I get nervous in the pitch of my voice. And it's hard, and I always say all the time, and it's hard for me to pick up those words. So this is just a little video that I wanted to make, just explaining how hard it is to communicate, but it's a blessing, honestly. If your Mercury's in Pisces, then you're just more in tuned, honestly. It's a crazy thing to always have a siphon of words coming out from your guides and giving advice and showing enlightenment in that kind of a way. It's hard in logical senses, but in spiritual senses, when you're comfortable in speaking and giving advice, that's when that placement comes in handy. So thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a nice day.